Yes, people, what we saying? Man is at the original zone, mate. Who knows when the last time we'll see this place is. If you've been following me for hella long, this is where it all began, really. Ironically, or coincidentally, or synchronistically, it's actually on the ley lines, essentially. This is Folly Tower in Farringdon, and it's from here I can see White Horse Hill right in front of me. I used to say before, I've kind of already disclosed it, it's too late I guess, but I used to say before, oh, I'm from this town, right, this place is called Farringdon. But then, I realised it was so much cooler to say that I'm from White Horse Hill, because White Horse Hill is on the ley lines, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't done, super research, but it's connected somewhat. I went to Elevate Festival in Glastonbury, and that's definitely the ley lines, where that tower is, the Glastonbury Tor, or Avalon. Check out a song by Mr. Traumatic, Avalon, because he actually shows this very hill. It's really fucking foggy right now, so you can't see it. Plus, I've fucked up this lens. This one's alright, but this one's a bit fucked, as you can tell. My phone is decaying, and it's not helping me. Kind of. My phone is falling to pieces and shit. I've just broke my fucking speakers, so I can barely hear shit, and my lens is smashed, which is why it's blurry on this one. But yeah, right in front of me, this is White Horse Hill. I don't know what that tower is, but it's right there, basically, just behind the fog. Normally you can actually see the White Horse. But yeah, if you check out Mr. Traumatic, he has a song called Avalon, and he actually films there's a drone shot of that White Horse Hill. So in Traumatic's music video, which is talking about Avalon, which is the ley lines from Glastonbury, these spiritual sites basically, and if you don't know what the ley lines are, just research. I'm not super educated, but I'm definitely on my way there, and to be honest, I don't even like disclosing how educated I am, because I know that it's spiritual warfare shit, and they would like to know if I know about the ley lines or not. So it's weird. I've had to become more privacy, in terms of I can't be such as an open book as I used to be, to an extent, because now I know it's an Archon matrix, and I don't really trust nearly anybody. I think there could be multiple alliances. I'm not really sure if there's real evil out here. I'm sure there is. I don't know, or whether or not it's selfishness from the government and shit, or whether it's actually fundamentally a different alliance from some different starseed type shit. I don't know, it gets very trippy and out there, to be honest. You don't assume nothing, mate. Anything's possible. But yeah, Traumatic he literally has a drone shot of that White Horse Hill, and that ley line is connected to Glastonbury Tor, I'm pretty confident. So yeah, that hill right there is in one of Mr. Traumatic's music videos, so go check that out. So I'm actually from, I grew up around this place for fucking over 10 years. I've lived in this town before half of it was even built. My estate only just went up when I moved in. I've been roaming this area right next to this White Horse Hill for fucking as long as I've known, really. So yeah, that's where we are right now. But yeah, I'm not super ultra educated on the ley lines, but you can almost intuit that they're basically energy points of the earth. A local around here actually, yeah, I believe she says her house is in the heart chakra of the earth or something. I'm not really sure. Let's see, a lot of these spiritual people as well, I'm still learning, because basically there's awakened NPCs, not this lady that I'm talking about in particular, but I'm going to get into this in a second. It's basically the levels of awakening go infinitely deep, and it's there are awakened asleep people. There are people who seem awakened and on this spiritual wavelength, but they've still got AI matrix programs in them. Perhaps they're not done with their detox process. blasted. And now that's on a witch's hat. I wonder what that is. I wonder what that is. It's a witch's hat, and he's smoking something on this fucking chair out here. But yeah, anyway, yeah, so these ley lines, I intuit they're like spiritual energy points, because like, I don't think it's a coincidence, yeah, that my awakenings began up here. That's what I said. I said if you recognize this place, a lot of it is because, yeah, so like basically how my YouTube channel began, really, a lot of it, yeah, one of my main trips, we've got the pineal pine cones up here as well, bro. Yeah, like basically I had a lot of like these psychedelic trips in the past, and I had mind-blowing experiences, but like it can be hard to integrate them sometimes, where like you unconsciously forget how radical it was. Because like when I was really young, I had some like fucking torturous, traumatizing psychedelic trips where I took way too many shrooms, and I wasn't protected, I wasn't really educated, and I just got blasted into the hell realm. And I was like attacked by fucking spiritual demons and shit. And I was literally melting, turning into the trees, turning into fucking the roots of the trees and that. And I was like dying and resisting it. It was like an ego death, and I was like resisting it. And I basically just ended up suffering for hours and hours. So that was one trip I had. And then like I got caught up in survival, and my dad fucking split up with my stepmom, and he took me with him, and then we fucking went on this whole long mission of being fucking basically homeless and shit or whatever. And then like a little bit later I stabilised more like in my survival foundation, and I returned to the mushrooms, because even though the shrooms blasted me into the hell realms, I still kept going back to them, which a lot of people would think is like sadistic almost, like it. People must question that in a way, like they definitely have, because like the way I tell the story is like, and we've got mushrooms up here as well, which I don't think is a coincidence, which I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, like before I had like my first proper empowering awakenings were much later, where like basically I had like a year's worth of doing these shrooms, and that's where I had my first bad trip and my first positive trips as well. But even after the bad trips, I kept doing them. This is the thing, right? I had 2 really bad trips that literally tore me apart, that I just described, that literally send you into the hell realm, right? I had 2 of those trips a bit down the line. My first experiences were quite positive, but they weren't no spiritual nothing. I was just like I didn't know nothing. I would just take them out with my mates and just have a laugh with some friends, and that was like a decent positive experience for the first 2 times. And then the 3rd time, yeah, I got fucking blasted into the hell realms, and I still kept taking them, because like basically I intuit, it's like this existential intuition I've always had from the get-go, in a way, where like the idea that mushrooms can even do that to me, like it was like beyond comprehension that something of that nature was even possible. So radical, so like geometric and melting and infinity, and I was like remembering shit that I didn't even know were in my memories and stuff. And basically I think the reason why I kept going back to them, even though they were like, I had fucked up mad experiences, because basically I think, yeah, and a lot of why I basically went through a spout of like psychedelic abuse, even though the mushrooms were like giving me bad trips like more often than not, yeah. And a lot of that is because of like my own twisted ways, or my bad habits, or my depression and stuff that I'm not confronting, because psychedelics can let the subconscious pour forth. That's how I describe it. It's like if you're avoiding something through distraction for ages, like if you keep suppressing this void with weed and coffee or some shit, that void will fucking pour forward like fuck, and you'll be forced to confront that in a psychedelic trip, because it does reveal the subconscious mind, even physically. Can I remember how to play Gravity Falls? Should we try that? I look like I'm out here fucking doing something now. Fucking come out here to do a performance. You ready, lads? But yeah, fucking basically, yeah, so I think a lot of why I abused psychedelics, yeah, and I kept doing them, even though they were like fucking me up, yeah, it's because basically I was set out, not inherently explicitly, but the reason why I ignored a lot of these warnings around psychedelics, like, don't take too many psychedelics or whatever, you might, like, if you're not protected or not ready, if you're too young, because, you know, you might get attacked by demons, and if you're not protected, then... But the thing is the reason why I just ignored them warnings and almost went into, like, a spout of psychedelic abuse is because I was set out, whether or not it was conscious or not, like, it was like a subconscious, like, intuition that I was following, is basically I was out to deconstruct the material paradigm of what I was taught in school about the science mechanics of this universe. Like, even if there was a warning that, like, watch out, if you meditate too much and do too many psychedelics, you might get extrasensory perception, where there's geometry everywhere, and you might not be ready for the, you might not be psychologically mature enough to, like, to face ego death. And I'm like, basically what it is like, for me to verify that that is even a possibility is, like, actually the golden goodie, in terms of, if I take mushrooms, yeah, and I am not protected and I didn't listen to the warning and I got attacked by a demon, right, the idea that that's even possible in the first place is the only thing that would make me want to do it. It's because basically I set out to verify with my own direct consciousness, if I can have an experience that proves that I am in a dream and that this is not a physical reality, regardless or not if I'm ready for that experience, regardless of if that experience might make me lose the plot or whatever the fuck, or regardless of your warnings about said experience, if I can experience something beyond the physical material paradigm, to me that is the ultimate gnosis, in a way. Yeah, gnosis. And that's what I've achieved, is regardless of my success on the material plane or my physique or anything, yeah, is I have this, it's basically God, because I have experienced, like, synchronicity and, like, basically telepathy and shit. I'm fucking telling you, like, I've had, like, I can see, like, the alphabet in the fucking walls and shit with my actual, like, not right now, but when I'm, like, tripping and shit. And, like, basically, for me to have such a experience outside of the material paradigm where, like, I get sucked into a trance of hallucination or something, or, like, you don't get it though, because it's so deep, fam. Like, if reality is a material paradigm, then obviously if I take a drug I might, like, get high, right? But the idea that I can take a drug and that fucking a motorcycle gang and grizzly bears will pull up at my front door, how can the drug do that? Well, you'll say, obviously it didn't, because it shouldn't be able to, right? Because based on the material paradigm, something that I put in, that I shouldn't be able, and I'm not saying this has happened, right? But it's happened in many dimensions. That's, by the way, I stole that from Terence McKenna. Someone asked Terence McKenna if he likes to trip outside, and he's like, I don't like to go outside, man. It's all sorts of weird shit will happen if you don't try to control the set and setting. I mean, motorcycle gangs will arrive, grizzly bears will attack. Another thing that he says is, like, he's like, I can understand how people say a drug can make you see weird stuff, but the idea that a drug can drop a heavy hand on your shoulder and say, young man, there are some things that me and you need to discuss. Number 1, number 2, and it knows you better than you know yourself, and it's showing you memories that you forgot about. Shit like that. So basically, the idea that such an experience is even possible. That often I say this, it's like, people say, oh, it's just a drug. It's like, yeah, but regardless of the idea that I was on a substance, you can still have the experience. Even if I've deluded myself, the fact that such a delusional experience is even possible within reality is quite a fucking paradigm shift, potentially. And, I don't know, it depends as well, because I was doing a lot of research on that. But I don't know, I didn't want to talk about this inherently, I'm running out of storage a bit, but fucking hell, I'm just back into my old video form of just shooting shit on a whim and then running out of storage. I don't know, but, like, basically, yeah, so why would I keep doing shrooms even though I had horrible bad trips, right? Because
the fact that such a bad trip was even possible is, to me, the ultimate metaphysical paradigm shift, potentially away from the material paradigm, in terms of, basically, like, this it was 7 dried grams of magic mushrooms. You can find this trip report on my channel. It's edited. I've spent fucking ages on this video. Go check it. Go find it. It's 7 gram extreme bad trip report by myself. OXSN, or Oxen. Hashtag Oxen. And yeah, like, basically, I come out of the first bad trip that I had, which was absolute torture and fucking demon shit, and I was trembling. A friend actually rang the doorbell, and I talk about this in a trip report, and I've added visuals to this edited trip report. Go check it, it's sick. I really put a lot of time into that. Made it a few years ago, and but yeah, a friend rung the doorbell, and it woke me up from this like horror trance that the shrooms had put me in, yeah. And I was literally like trembling when I answered the door to a couple of my mates. I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, I was like shaking my head. I was like, nah. Like, I didn't understand anything. Like, they rang the doorbell, and I was like, there's an outside world. Like, the external world became existent because I heard something outside. And I was like, oh yeah, there's something outside of this fucking psychosis that I've been drowning in. Which definitely blew my mind to pieces, by the way, and that's kind of why I am the way I am now, because I kept doing it. I done it as much as I could, as fast as I could. I literally like blew my fucking mind on purpose, but a lot of that was because I was scared to be an NPC. I didn't want to fucking fall back asleep, because the fate of the collective around me is so fucking dead and mundane and grim, and they don't even know that they're asleep. So if I was asleep, the idea that I could be ignorant about my own asleepness, I did so many shrooms on purpose, yeah, and I went so hard with my YouTube and shit the way I did, yeah, and put my whole personality and ego on the line. I did that on purpose so that I forced myself to be devoted to this path just in case I forgot. That's why I went so extreme with it, so hard, so quick. Seem immature, yeah, but like, the thing is, these warning, oh, take it slow with psychedelics, be careful, you might not be ready to handle the mystical vision. It's like, fuck that, I just want a mystical vision, because basically, I've always naturally been an existentialist, yeah, and fucking, there's a part of me that has always needed to know why I'm here, intrinsically, like, from the get-go. It's like, and there was a depression that came with this, yeah, and I think this depression is like a disconnect from God in a way, or like, basically is the idea that I have incarnated with little to no explanation, nearly, immediately available to me, other than this silence and my own thoughts, I guess. But like, basically it's like, yeah, I just can't believe it. I can't believe it. Am I dreaming? Am I a fluke? Am I some bacteria on a brick in someone's garden and I'm just a fluke? Am I from the Big Bang? Am I... If I was from the Big Bang, I must still actually be the Big Bang right now. I must just be on the periphery of it, like I am a symptom of the Big Bang or something. And I always needed to know these questions, and like these questions, like a lot of society ignores these questions, I feel like, partly because they are within the infinite dream, so the God is like gaslighting itself in order to imagine infinity. So the people could realize, maybe, I don't know, there's so many levels to it. There's so many fucking levels to it. And half of these spiritual teachings that I was really into for so long, I realised that the people who were teaching a lot of these spiritual teachings that I was promoting and that, they are actually awakened NPCs, a lot of them. And so am I. I'm still an NPC to an extent, but that's why I did all the shrooms ASAP, because I was trying to like make sure that I wouldn't fall back asleep, right? Because they don't know that they're asleep, because that's the nature of unconsciousness. So, I don't know, look, I needed to know if there was something more. So I put everything on the line, absolutely. And all I did was focus for about a year and a half on, I just worked my job, I got my pay, and then I used my pay to survive, and then I used what I had remaining to blast myself with the plant medicine and hyperventilation and weed and mushrooms and LSD and DMT, and I did that in pursuit of an experience that would validate to me that reality is more than a material clockwork of atoms and the material paradigm. If I could experience telepathy, or if I could download an impossible experience from hyperspace, if I could dream while I was awake, this would be a paradigm shift. And I was looking for a paradigm shift because I was not sold from the get-go that this is all there is, this material paradigm. And that's what I mean. Like, when I was born, I had this intuition that, like, this can't be it. And everyone around me is telling me that this is it. It's just a material, mechanical place, and I am just a fluke on a rock in the middle of some dust. Like, I'm some wet bacteria on a brick in the middle of nowhere, and an asteroid could just come at any point because my life is fundamentally a mechanical, meaningless process. And consciousness, the material paradigm tells you it's from the bottom up, where the brain gives rise to awareness. How do I not know that I'm not dreaming the brain within a dream? How do I not know that I'm not dreaming that my brain is constructing reality? How do I not know that I'm not dreaming right now? When I woke up this morning, or when the dream concluded from last night, how do I know that I didn't just dream that the dream concluded and I didn't just dream that I woke up? I'm running out of storage. Let's see if I can remember Gravity Falls. One sec. Fuck knows. Alright, let me try this. Insane out here, to be fair, but anyway, I'm running out of storage. But yeah, that's it. I didn't really plan to talk about half that shit, but yeah, like, basically I had those really bad trips, and then, like, there was a year interval where I stabilized, where that shit went down with my dad and that, and then I kind of forgot about these, like, traumatizing mad experiences. But then, like, a year later, I kind of stabilized, and then I come up here, and this is where I had my first actual empowering trips. Like, I had some cool experiences, and then I had a really bad, horrible trips. And then I come up here, like, about a year later, after I had a break, and I'd quit weed, and the trips were so empowering, they changed my whole life forever. And that was my first trips up here in this location on the ley lines. I love you.